Back again with another one. I go by the name Barry Bills, and I have with me as usual.
Yes, sir. Jack over here.
Boy, Jack, yeah, Jack is on it.
Alright, there. What's the baby bills? My bum me ding. What's the say any day thing?
All right.
Oh,
Charlie,
Everybody
make you no worry, Charlie. Video, I mean, no one trained with Jack Mate. But I have
sir.
another individual,
Very special guest.
a very special guest, a very,
Very,
special one,
Influential.
very influential, man. What's I say? Today we're going to be talking about a favorite topic, a topic that I think might be your favorite topic as well. Tino Charlie, me church but yes, I have with me Prof Kakap3.
The only one.
Yeah.
For Kakap3.
Prof Kakap3 is
Bray.
Prof Kakap3 is what do you call it? A credit expert. Most of us know him to be a dancer, but recently, he has added on another expertise, which is credit. Yes, sir.
Credit score.
Yeah. So Charlie, we have Prof Kakap3 in the building too.
Hey everyone. As he said, my name is Kakap3. However you want to mention it, Professor Kakap3, Fufu, or Prof Kakap3. We to me the credit NASA. So I mean, I've been the credit there has been for a long time. It's just that recently, I'm just trying to like maybe educate more and stuff like that, or bring it to more people. But I've been with this for like over 5+ years now. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I've been since high school, and I learned about credit, and I've been researching it ever since. So I've been in the credit game for a very long time. I'm not like bringing out more and more and more and more.
Right, bro. Yeah. That's tough, man. Cause I didn't know. I know you to be like a dancer, an entertainer. As a matter of fact, like you always put in smiles on people's faces, and I gotta commend you for that, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, usually like sometimes it's good for people to think about you in like one aspect, and you bring the other side. Because before I came to America, and like some people in Ghana, they knew me for playing soccer, right? So when they saw me dancing, they're like, so when were you dancing? But I've been dancing. They just didn't know that I dance. Yeah. And then those people who knew I was dancing but didn't know I played soccer, like, so back and forth. So maybe let's say I have like interest in a lot of things, but as you grow, some of them will like wear out, and then some like take like precedence and stuff like that.
Some take effect. Yeah, that's what's up, Charlie. I didn't know. It's good to know. So what really got you into doing credit? Like, what really made you say I want to learn credit, or I want to get to know what credit is all about?
Yeah. So basically, high school, Mount Vernon. I think last semester or something like that. I forgot what class, but all of a sudden, like, teacher nobody or CEO, like, we talking about this and stuff like that. So it was like just maybe a few minutes of credit talk,
right.
And I was like, I was very interested. I was like, what is this? It felt like when you have credit at that time, like you'll be powerful or something like that. I mean, I came to find out it's really powerful, but at that time I was like very interested. I wanted to know more. So after that class, I went to Google, YouTube, and stuff like that, and then I just started like basically learning as much as possible. And then I think shortly after then, may call open a credit card. But before that, I talked to my sister, my big sister. I think for her, she had a good credit, but it wasn't as excellent. And older people, it's like she was scared that I would go get a credit card.
Charlie, I don't want to cut you off, but before we get into that, there are a series of questions and series of talks that I would like us to do before we get into the facts.
Okay.
We'll be on credit card for fraud.
I mean, basically, we talk about it in school. I thought it was cool, and it would be nice to have it. Did research, got more interested, more intrigued. So I just went and got a credit card.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how you actually got into credit. And
yes.
I didn't say, get to know more about credit.
Yeah, as much as possible. Yeah.
That's tough, bro. I mean, I know for a fact that like when credit comes up, me for instance, when credit comes up, sometimes I get scared a little bit, right? Because I don't know much about credit. I know a little bit, but I wouldn't call myself to be somebody that knows too much about credit.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, our parents will be like, Charlie, don't get a credit
Don't
card.
touch it.
You know, yeah, don't get a credit card. Don't go get a car loan. But then they'll tell you to go to school.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
And get a lot of debt.
Exactly. So, you know, it's all credit related,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, what would you say is credit? What is credit?
I don't know how simple I can put it, but so for me, well, credit is it's like, so in America we have a credit system where you have to get a credit score, and then the credit score will help you. It's like, okay, so credit is like your credit worthiness, right? It's like if you are going to get a car, they want to look at your history. So basically, like you're about to get a loan from me.
Right.
How will I know you pay back the loan?
Right.
I have to check your credit
History.
before I can give you a loan, right? So if I just give you the loan and you don't come back the next day, I can't even find you. I don't even know where you live. That's a lot of risk, right?
Right.
So if you have a good credit, if you have built your credit and you have a solid credit, now if you go to the bank to look for a loan, they're gonna check your credit history. They're gonna check how many times you have borrowed and paid back. How long is your history? How good like are you in getting loans? How many different type of loans do you have?
Right.
Because some people, just you having a credit is not enough. They want to know how many different type of credits you have before they may give you a credit, or the amount of loan they will give you. Some people may give you less based on different factors, right?
Right.
So a credit is basically or credit score and all the things about credit is basically like your, I don't know if it's that right word, but credit worthiness, how much more you are likely to pay back a debt.
Like you about to have a credit.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like how likely is this guy going to pay me? I've had like excellent credit. I've never missed a payment since I started like over 5 years ago and stuff like that. So when they look at my credit, for 5 years, I've had like maybe different types of cars on there. I've paid all of them. I've had maybe some small loans. I've had student loans. I've paid all of them and all of that. So they are more likely to give me the loan that I'm asking for than somebody who, even though they may have like good credit, it may have like only 6 months.
Right.
6 months. What happened? Maybe for me, over those years, I've lost my job and I still paid, right?
Right.
So yeah. Well, and then for I know so much about credit. I'm still learning.
Right.
I would say maybe I'm an expert, but you know, we are still learning. It's a learning process.
learning.
I just recently discovered some new things too as well. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to we need much about credit and you know what credit really entails. But then like Okasano, you made mention of the fact that there are types of credit.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I know, sir, we have two different types of credit. We have like the installment credit, which actually entails our car note, our credit cards, not our credit cards, our car note, our mortgage, and you know any credit that we have you use it, and then we pay the full amount of that very credit line or whatever the case may be. And we also have another type of credit whereby we get those kind of credit cards from stores like Nordstrom, Forever 21, and all the other stores and whatnot. No, what can you just so that we can understand those parts?
Okay, so definitely, like you said, no, with different types of credit card. Credit stuff, right? Anything like the credit stuff, you know, it entails like a bunch of things. So we have revolving credit, right? Revolving credit is so the store credit, they are a little bit different, but the store credit and the regular credit cards are like almost the same to me, at least, right? But so the store credit and the credit card we get usually are all revolving
credits. Yeah.
It's like you use it, you pay back, you keep using it, you use it, you have 1,000 limit, you use 300, you have 700 left, you pay, you continue using it. Those are revolving credit.
Right.
And we have the mortgage
installment credit.
Yeah, talking about installment credit. And then we have a whole bunch of different ones. We have even like signature line of credit. I want to talk about later on. So that is also, so we have loans as well. So we have loans. So I don't know if I should go into it right now, but
No, we'll definitely get into that
Okay.
part. But you know, we've said a lot about credit. We've got to understand what a credit is,
exactly.
the types of credits, and stuff like that. That we should be out on the lookout. But yeah, funny say, mini credit score. I'm trying to get a credit score. What do I have to do to get a credit score? Like, how do I get a credit score, and what is the importance of me getting a credit?
Okay. First of all, it's very, very important and necessary for anybody and everybody to get a credit score. Regardless of, I think it starts at 18. Because if you are 16 and you start building your credit, and that one, you know, we can all look it up. But I think it starts at 18 to legally start to have a credit. Because if somebody even push you on their credit before 18, it doesn't really count until you are 18 or something. But credit is very necessary. It's very important to start a credit card. Let's say right now I don't have a credit history at all,
Right,
and stuff like that. Obviously, you want to start somewhere. How do you start? You want to there's different types of credits that you can get. You have a secure credit card and unsecured credit card, right? So usually, if you're new, you don't have a credit history at all, nothing. You haven't had no student loan, no debts, nothing to show like good payments. Omo person who be like that is there for you. To start, every bank will be scared to give you just any kind of credit, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't trust you yet.
Right.
So to get a card, most of the time, I think say if you're lucky, sometimes you get one of the unsecured cards, but a secure credit is basically a credit card that one kasa do say you put your own money down to start the credit card. So because the bank will not give you their credit card because you don't have any history, you start with your own money. So before I thought the bank would let you put 300. That's how I started with Apple FCU.
So that's the secured.
Yeah, secure
credit
card.
line,
No?
okay.
You know, but I realized that after 300, you can put whatever you want your limit to be, right? So I put 300 starting mine. I think 250 starting mine. So you can put 300, 400, 500, 600. Just that whatever you put on there is the limits that you are going to have, right? And then just that after a year. So to me, if you have a good credit habit and you don't owe and stuff like that, or you have very low balances, you get your money back, and now they give you an unsecured credit card. So that unsecured credit card, recently I learned, say, it will basically, you start a new credit. You are not necessarily starting a credit. Now they trust you enough, they'll give you a good balance. So my guy, I pressed him like 2 years ago to get a credit card. He got a credit card. He put like $300 down. And then I told him to come back so we talk about it, but we never talked about it until recently. And then Ogusu, you shoot $300, you know, limit, you know, which is very bad. And he always max it out. We talk about that later, but he always max it out and all of that. So he's been due to get a new credit card. I told him to go back to the bank, and now when he went there to the Apple Bank, you know, almost edging unsecured card, no. I mean secure card, no. And unsecured card. So now I think he has 2,500 for the starting limits, right? So I'm sure creditworthiness with history. You know how much on person demand for starters.
Right.
You can always request an increase after some months. So yeah, you get, and most likely if you don't have any credit at all, you start with a secure credit card. Then as you use it and you become good with it and stuff like that, I think after a year, then you can get an unsecured. So basically, an unsecured credit card is what, based on your credit worthiness,
Right.
any bank can give you an unsecured credit card. But depending on how good your credit is, that's when you can get higher credit cards or higher credit limits from a credit card. You can get 5K, 10K, 20K and stuff based on almost sure credit history now.
Got it.
How much stuff you got
So
going.
basically, you start with a secured card. Send it out, build your credit history. Like, so all kinds of credit history too. You're talking about the way you're making payments on the credit card, like how you're utilizing it, what percentage are you paying,
Exactly.
when are you paying, when it's due, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, how do I get to know, say, I'm making payments at the right time, and when is the right time to make your payments when it's due?
Okay. So basically to know your credit history. So if you don't have anything related to credit, you cannot even know your score, because basically you don't have a score. Right? Say and register with team one, your coach team board, so you who do also, right? And to get a credit score, no, you have to be able to check your history and all of that. No, you first of all, obviously, America, we deal with Social Security, so that's your number is what you're going to use to open these credit cards, right? So because I put somebody as authorized user on my card, no one need credit at all, right? I told her to go get like Credit Karma, but want to me MBA. Why? Because we need credit history at all. Into Credit Karma is where mostly me now. A lot of banks have that built in their app. I want me check your credit score and history. But basic, usually I tell people get Credit Karma. Credit Karma is where you can check your credit score, because usually almost to me catch what you can do to improve it. Obviously, they try to sell you some cards and stuff, but it's really good to have a credit card. So Credit Karma, no, because she couldn't even get an account because she no need history at all.
Got it.
But now you have to start with where you need to. So when your history, we are, that is when you are going to be able to check your score and your payments. So besides that, how will you know the payments? So usually, I think whenever you get your credit card, maybe the day you applied or the day they approve or the day the card comes on you activate or something, is when they set your payment date. But even let's say payment is any 8th.
Right.
Maybe payments, we have some minimum payments. So minimum payment is the amount of Sika ubetuya, so maybe where you use $500 regardless of how much you have used, you always have like a minimum payment to pay.
Of course.
So minimum payment is the amount of money you have to pay at least for it not to count as a late payment, right? So sometimes, usually it's really small compared to how much money you have used. Sometimes I can have like 3,000 balance and I have to pay only $54 or $100 as minimum payment. So you can always make just the minimum payment. But by the 8th, if your minimum payment is due or your payment due date is on the 8th, by 8th, say $54, and a due as the minimum, you have to pay at least $54, because if you don't pay that money, or even if you pay 53.9999, it won't count as a payment. Say if you think I'm just contributing money onto the credit card, and then because it shows I've paid something. As long as you haven't made at least the minimum payment, it doesn't count as a payment.
It probably might count as a late payment.
But then go credit, because you didn't make the payment. Sometimes we'll be one man. They didn't make the payment not because they don't have the money, because they didn't check or they thought maybe to minimum payment 100, pay 100. But it's always advisable and best way to pay everything off, or as much as possible, because credit cards have higher interest, especially now your inflation. Usually you get a credit card, you're talking about 24% interest, 19% interest. And utia only the minimum. Some credit cards can be calculated and say, if you pay only the minimum, this is when you're going to pay it off. Into ABI now $1,000 pay, but maybe in 3 years now, utia bear 3,000 just because of the interest. So some people, they are scared of credit because that's what they did. They got the credit and they were only making minimum payments or barely making any payments. Now, a loan or credit card, I'm got to idea for maybe like $1,500. Now they have to pay $5,000 because of interest rate. Interest rate, is killing people. So so you get your credit card.
I was actually gonna ask you about what interest rates is.
Yeah,
because Charlie, we know some people know about credit scores and stuff like that, but credit score also come with other stuff.
Yeah.
Interest rates go day inside. Yeah. Sometimes like your income
go day. Yeah.
You see that?
Because if you want credit increase, I ever talk about it, but you need your income will come to.
Right. So that one will come. It check like income, interest rates, then credits, they same.
Then payment.
It's not always or necessarily, but in a way. So interest rate in India. So every bank has their interest rate. Usually credit unions, like Navy Federal Credit Union and Apple Federal Credit Union and stuff, usually they may have better interest rate, but still all depends on your credit score, right? So maybe bank, as I can say, no matter what your credit score is, you can get up from 8% to 18%. The least you can get or the lowest you can get is from 8% to 20%. And because based on your credit worthiness, it could start at 8 or it can go to 20 or whatever, right? Yeah. So the interest rate is based on it's just like Oko dealership. Now we need any history. They will sell it to you, but you probably will pay like 15% interest rate on the car, right? So interest rate at the time of applying usually on website, they will say it there. Say it will be APR. APR, it will change depending on inflation and stuff like that. And that means that it will be from maybe 17 to 24. Into apply, if you receive your card and everything, all the information will be on the papers there. This is your current rate. But me, I don't pay attention to those things. I do pay attention to, but not as much, because what happens is I always pay my cars off. And even if I don't pay them off, I try to pay it off to the lowest possible. It's like interest ain't as much.
See, I understand the fact that I won't pay attention to interest rates near that, but I think that for somebody I shouldn't need much about credit. Personally, I think they should pay attention to their interest rate and their principal amount. Yeah, because I don't know show how much more you're paying on top of your principal amount.
And credit card, if you make the payments like and I'm on the 8th. Not payment date never. There's no interest. There's never an interest if you pay it at the time you're supposed to pay. So there's a minimum payment date, or there's a due date, and there's a statement date, right? Okay. So statement date is when they report it to the credit bureaus, right? They record it to Equifax, TransUnion, FICO score, and all of that. FICO. So statement date is when they report those things. So the guy that I was talking about, he wanted to get a
secure card now.
Yeah, we wanted to get him like an unsecured card and have a higher limit. What was happening is we'll talk more about that later, but he was using so much of his utilization now affecting like 90%.
I was gonna come back into that one because Charlie, righty, when you're secured card. What transition into an unsecured card, your amount credit line limit, your amount limit. What are some of the things are affect you whilst you have that credit limit? You have to say, okay, my credit card, which is an unsecured credit card, your mom may be 5,000 limit. My monthly payments are $80. Month be a draw, maybe keep $80 minimum, or probably I pay more than $80, maybe $100 near the other. What factors do I have to look at and affecting my credit negatively? Because I know for a fact that although you're paying your monthly payment, your minimum payments and stuff like that, but there are certain habits that I also would take it into account. And also wouldn't affect your history. So what are those things that you have to be on the lookout? Because what I say about making payments on time, what are the other things that I wasn't looking out for?
Okay. So the most important thing on the credit, maybe pull you up percentages, in a bit. Okay. The most important thing is never missing a payment. Because it will miss a payment, I think it's still on your credit for 7 years or something like that. If you have a hard inquiry, it's 2 years. The more you go forward, as a fade away.
So if you miss a payment, that's 2 years.
No, 7 years.
7 years.
On your history. Like I will check to make sure, like this one or SNK, but yes, it will stay for that long. And you never want to miss a payment. Right. Or have even one missed payment. To me, assuming that so, but it will take some time. So you want to make sure if you can and hit you already, you want to make sure you have at least 100% payment. Who on credit is very bad. Why BBA, but they have 100% payment, which will help them. The most important thing in the first steps is because credit or much chim, how much say what will limit we use too much of your limit this percentage. Payment history this percentage. Well, this percentage. So you want to make sure say payment in India is 100%.
Right.
Before I may pull you up, and then because of that, usually, first of all, I always say obviously credit card is for emergencies first, right? So if you have to use it to even use 100% of your limit, use it. But make sure say scanner we use,
you're paying that off.
You can pay the money. And from Nike and shit when you cannot pay that money off.
I was gonna come back to Nike, I didn't know kind, right?
Yeah.
Because I know say you're good credit, you're good debt, and we have bad debt.
Yeah.
Some people are living on like in front of say paycheck to paycheck, right? And some people also rely on credit cards. Maybe me kotompa boy, me trim credit card. Me koto akunyawe, I'll use my credit card. Me koto we, those are all bad debts, I believe, right?
Well, to me, there are good debts and bad debts, but to me, I would say it depends. As in, me, if I'm gonna buy something, right? So my glasses near Shemino, right? Me recently I'm toy. Me toy,
Zoom into the glasses too. You got Versace on, boy.
You already know what time it is.
Yeah, that's a bit.
Anyways, me the credit card and a toy. And first of all, I never pay anything with my debit except that's the only way I have to pay. First of all, using your credit card protects you. Me koto this is here with my credit card at the gas station or whatever, and they hack the card. I can always call them and get my money back.
Got it.
Debit too, you may get your money back or you can get money back, but say free account now you don't have any money to feed off of until say get your money back.
Until you've been able to dispute
so,
that.
Yes. So I never pay anything with my debit card except I have to. And then because we'll get back to it, but because it gives me cash back and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are certain rewards you get from
exactly.
it.
I bought this. I had the money to pay for the glasses.
Okay.
But I don't want to use my cash.
Right.
First of all, I got a new card now first 6 months, if I use 6,000 6,000 in the first 6 months, so me the teacher I'm regular staff, now me use 6,000 I'll get 150,000 points, which translates to 1,500, and I can use that to book flights and stuff like that. Right?
So these are all rewards.
Rewards, yes.
Yeah,
so why would I use my debit card if I can buy the glasses that I will buy already, not because I'm buying it because of the points, but I will buy already and then I'll get rewarded, right? So I always buy things that I already have the money. Sometimes I will buy it even though I have the money. And I say, I know, say, by next week, the money is available. Senebeya, me to, na say, eba for a lot of months or weeks, na miniskana is gonna affect me in a bad way, right?
Got it.
So I always make sure, say, I paid off.
I was trying to like lay more emphasis on that credit utilization.
Yeah.
How I'll be, because look, I said, the way you use your credits is also play a factor when it comes to like credit history. Because everyone say, yeah, my credit card 2,000. Within 1 month, my spending almost 1,500.
And since I was gonna touch on it, payment is the first, and I want you to. That's why I say, try and see, say at least you have the money or half of it, or you can at least make the minimum payments, right? Until so be make here, that means you have the 100% history, right? Yeah. Then you also make sure say now that you are not using too much of your credit limit. Credit utilization is very important. The general rule or what is set by the credit companies is they want you to use 30% or less of your limit. So, for example, if you have $1,000 credit limit, they want you to use 30% of that, which is $300 or less. So, any more you use, a bit factor credit no more. Obviously, the lesser you use, the better. That's why I make credit, from time to time, ask for an increase, and sometimes automatically they see I'm using it in a good way, they increase it automatically for me. But $1,000, you also want to make sure say be out the trial bill be but even if you can max out your credit limit, which is one key. Okay. But the trick is before they report it to the credit company, if you pay everything off, it will report as you have paid it off and it won't affect your utilization. So
question about the day or reporting.
Yeah.
The statements.
Yeah.
Let's just say your due date is on the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
On the 15th, when do the credit bureaus
report? When do the creditors report to the bureau?
Okay, yeah. So usually, I've realized I've realized sometimes on the paper and also on bro documents now there was so statement there, but some of them they may not tell you, and some of them you get into the app and they tell you. But if they don't tell you, usually statement dates, but slightly before the due date. Right? Maybe if the due date is the 8th, maybe on the 5th or something. But even if we don't know, you wanna just buy something small. Now, we check Credit Karma. The day now, me call Credit Karma to see my cars, they will tell me when they last reported. Right. That's the statement date, right? Yeah. So statement date, you see that say how many credit card and bill first now, it's on the paper and everything, or if you go on the website or on the app, is there, or Mark can say this is the statement date, and stuff like that. Or the day they report to Credit Karma, and that's when back to the say, $1,000 credit limit, not say before statement day you do say, hey, if I try and by 6, so when this can trim half, so you shoot 1,000 in now you're using 50% utilization, which is still bad, but at least it won't be 100%.
Right.
What I say, right. You want to make sure say by statement date, or $20,000 you can use all, but by the statement date, say Drew or I say I can't only 1,000. Now it's only reporting that $1,000 utilization.
Got it.
Yeah, and
I know I'm trying to say. Also sometimes you make payments beyond. The credit will go up like 35%.
Yeah.
And I say
points.
35 points. And I say 100 points.
Yeah.
But it will be based off of everyone say 50% now we UTI. Every cop will be 10 points. Which is bad. So I want to understand this. That's
okay, so there's no metrics anywhere for now. Man who say, if you pay, well, now there's like credit simulations in some of the bank apps. They will tell you, say, if you pay this amount, it may go up this amount of points or stuff like that.
I think Credit Karma has that too.
Yeah, and I just saw it recently. Yeah. Apart from that, there's not really say, my credit will go up 50 points or way. Recently, the same guy I was talking about. So now I've actually realized, most people, their credit is like very low now because of their utilization. It's the first things I've seen in a lot of people, because first of all, it's probably only their only credit card, and they always max it out.
Right.
It's so a guy he was using always, when we say one, we use another $300 or $200. So that's 80%, 90%, 100% utilization, and it's worse. So honestly, now I think say no, like 5 something as a saying. So I told him, say, if he has the money, he should pay off the whole money, and we should wait for when they report. Because sometimes some banks, it takes them a long time to report it. So it took him like over a month before they depending on the time now. And so it took them. So after a month, when they reported it in the credit issue, 240 points. So utilization in there is a very key factor to you always me say I have 3 my credit cards now because I always make sure say I increase the limit but I think say maybe 2 or 3 of my credit card have like 20k. I want to have as much limit as even me use more cry. utilization is still low.
Yeah.
So I have 20K limit right now, 22K on my Chase card, right? So 22K, you know, me to me used to like be at 7K and I still have like 8% utilization, right?
Right.
You know, right. Including so I have literally like 20 cards, right? Probably even one more or something.
Oh, for
20
real?
credit cards, yeah. 20 credit cards.
God
Boy,
damn.
So, sorry. I
Ade.
brought some of them.
Wako we be ana.
So I'm not a scammer. I beg you guys. I have the I have
Cry, you hear me to say.
the gold card and I have the platinum and I have a lot of cards.
450 credit score there.
Wow.
Yeah, it starts from 300 to
Yeah.
My guy is talking from experience.
Talk. If Obi could be a credit card in my name and I don't know anything about it, what you do is say you either a credit card you beat me up from, or you can go to Credit Karma. Credit Karma, one good thing about it is they have information for everything. So even the numbers to call, disputes and all of that. Now I file